Hi, my name is Hamizah Binti Wagiman. So today I'll be presenting about my thesis titled Assessing Thermal Comfort in Office at FSPU UiTM Puncak Selangor. This slide will contains of my thesis, which is Introduction of Thermal Comfort, Background Study, Research Aim, Objective and also Question, Scope and the Limitation, Research Methodology, and lastly would be my finding, discussion and also my conclusion. Introduction of thermal comfort. So basically, thermal comfort or indoor air quality, visual comfort, and acoustic comfort are all aspects of indoor environment quality. Buildings need to be comfortable for their residents, but they also need to be sustainable and use little energy. It is evident that aircon system use more energy when lower temperature settings are employed in the cooling mode. In certain countries, it has sparked movement in a favor of a minimum thermostat temperature setting. Many recently constructed buildings in Malaysia use a combination of mechanical and cross ventilation to provide the best possible thermal comfort. The efficiency of the HVAC system determines how comfortable it is within a property. The satisfaction of the inhabitant or the occupant with the thermal environment is referred to as a thermal comfort. It can only be sustained when the body is losing as much heat as it is producing through metabolism. Thermal comfort, however, is challenging to quantify due to its highly individualized nature. Moving to the next one is the problem statement. Study, Studies have shown that low IEQ may lead to the illness that have a negative impact on a worker's health and also their productivity. Studies throughout the years have shown that when people are not comfort with their indoor environment, it negatively affects their comfort, health, and also their productivity. In any event, there must be a few stresses working physiologically on the occupant for poor thermal comfort to affect work. When people are unable to resist the effect of warm anguish, they exhibit stress behavior. Stress is the human response to any outside stimulus that intrudes and threatens their well-being. The inadequate and the improper positioning of openings like windows and door is another problem with thermal comfort. For the benefit of the user comfort, an opening in the exterior wall allows ventilation to enter the space. Because the opening is insufficient, it makes the user's door uncomfortable. Moving to the next slide is the research question. First would be what are the level of the thermal comfort parameters in the office. The second one is what are the user perception and the measured data in the office. While the third one is how the measured data and user perception of thermal comfort can be improved. The next one is research aim and also objective. The aim of this research is to identify the thermal experience in Office of Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying UiTM Puncak Alam, followed by the objective which is first to identify the level of thermal comfort parameters in the office. The second one is to compare the user perception and measured data in terms of thermal comfort in the office. And lastly would be to compare the measured data taken compared with the user perception of thermal comfort. The next one is the scope and limitation of study. This study will concentrate on the potential impact of thermal comfort on employee comfort and also their productivity at the office. In addition, all the measured data were taken during office hours and also by using only one calibrated meter at particular hours. To find out whether the occupants are affected by the rate of thermal environment, data will be collected by on-site testing, questionnaire, and also by observation. The next one would be the research methodology. As you can see from the slide, the objective measurement work is done in three various points in the office. Point 1, 2, and 3 were in three different areas. Point 1 was collected in a day 1, while point 2 and 3 were collected on a day 2. The calibrated meter is used to measure the air movement, air velocity, air temperature, and also the relative humidity. The measurement of the reading is taken of time interval of every 5 minutes. Moving to the next one is the finding for point 1. If looking at the table shown above, the temperature versus air velocity for point 1, where the temperature versus the air velocity was at 3:30 p.m. The reading of air velocity recorded at this time was 0.43 meter per second. This is due to the door entrance was near with the counter, and also during this time there were few students who went to the office, thus the reading of temperature, air and air velocity increased. The next table consists of temperature versus relative humidity for point 1. Based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of relative humidity was recorded at 3:20 p.m. with 59.9% with 23.5 Celsius. Even the relative humidity is the highest at this point, the relative humidity is still acceptable, and the increase of the humidity during this time was due to the air conditioning is near with the measured place, and also within this time no air coming out from the outside. Last table will consist of temperature versus carbon dioxide, and based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of carbon dioxide was recorded at 907 ppm at 4:40 p.m. However, the data reading was not exceeding 1000 pm. The increase of carbon dioxide was because of the number of occupants that came to the counter during this time. Next is the finding for point 2. The first table consists of temperature versus air velocity. Based on the table shown above, the air velocity highest were at 12:20 p.m. and also 12:40 p.m. with 0.29 meter per second, and both time were getting the same temperature, which is 22.1 Celsius. During this time, there were quite few numbers of occupants in the office, and where the air was also coming from the entrance of the door itself, as the user using the door entrance and walk into the office itself. At this point as well, it is located directly under conditioner, as well as hence it also affecting the reading of air velocity. Moving to the next table, which is temperature versus relative humidity for point 2. Based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of relative humidity was recorded at 1:55 p.m. with 62.6% with 22 Celsius. Even the relative humidity is the highest at this point, it is yet still acceptable, and the increase of the humidity during this time was due to the air conditioning is near with the measured place with less occupant movement. Last table will consist of temperature versus carbon dioxide. Based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of carbon dioxide was recorded at 658 ppm at 12 p.m. However, the data was not exceeding 1000 ppm, thus it is acceptable. To add on, the value of carbon dioxide of point 2 was way lower compared with carbon dioxide reading at point 1, as the number of occupants were less during this hour, hence the reading were lower compared to point 1. Lastly would be the finding for point 3. The first The first table would be consist of temperature versus air velocity. The air velocity highest were at 4:25 p.m. with a 0.4 temperature rate of 23.4 Celsius. At this point, the reading of air velocity recorded were lower compared from other point. Slightly increased at 4:25 p.m. as during this time, few students and lecturers and staff making move from the exit door within the office. Hence, that is why the air velocity increased. Moving to the second table for point 3 is temperature versus relative humidity. Based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of relative humidity was recorded at 3:05 p.m. with 62.3% with 22.7 Celsius. Even the relative humidity is the highest at this point, the relative humidity is still acceptable, and the increase of the humidity during this time was due to the occupant, where the students were coming to their lecture rooms, thus the havoc from the room causing the humidity to increase during this time. And lastly would be the temperature versus carbon dioxide for point 3. Based on the table above, it shows that the highest reading of carbon dioxide was recorded at 893 ppm at 4:50 pm. However, the data was not exceeding 1000 ppm, thus it is acceptable. The highest carbon dioxide were taken at this hour due to the numbers of occupants in the office near to the point 3. At this time, there were few of students were having discussion with their lecturers in the corridor, hence the number of carbon dioxide is also increased. Lastly will be my conclusion and also the recommendation. It is evident from the data analysis and discussion that the result of thermal parameter in the office are in line with the observation of the tenant based on the questionnaire. The finding of the thermal characteristic also demonstrate that it satisfied the prerequisite. Based on the finding, it can be concluded that the temperature on both days was within the acceptable range set by OSHA, which is 20 to 26 Celsius. Overall, first and second data observation reveals that it met the standard requirement set by OSHA and also ASHRAE, which allow 20 Celsius to 26 Celsius for air temperature. And based on questionnaire, the tenants are also satisfied and can still bear with the thermal comfort in their surrounding. The recommendation is one suggestion that can be made is to change the air temperature in accordance with the requirement that have been set for office, such as the OSHA requirement for office building. This is due to the fact that if the air temperature is below 20 Celsius, it may make the occupant feel uncomfortable. And if, let's say, the air temperature is rising to a high temperature of more than 26 Celsius, the tenant will feel hot and uneasy in their surrounding. Additionally, the company's air conditioner could upgrade to a more energy efficient model so that the office may save money on power while still maintaining a comfortable temperature. The management should also think about replacing it with an energy efficient unit. Installed properly, this high efficiency system can save heating and cooling expenditure by up to 20%. Thank you.